Now, up next, folks, it's going to be Lawrence Fox, and he's going to tell us what he makes of Hollywood actor Guy Pearce's apology this week. Start the clock.
I'm going to begin my disappointment with Guy Pearce's hasty retreat from his tweet asking whether transgender people should only be able to play transgender roles, which is a perfectly legitimate question, by adopting the Shakespeare Hamlet Act 3 Scene 2 defence, which is where Hamlet instructs an actor to hold a mirror up to nature, show virtue her feature and scorn her image. So the point of acting, stupid as it may seem, is that you pretend to be somebody else. That's the entire idea. And this whole sort of woke transgenderist madness is that, you know, trans people can play trans people, which, fine, they should be able to do that. But at the same time, as Guy Pearce did, was he ascribed the logic that if trans actors can only play trans people, then should trans actors only play trans people? Very legitimate, logical question in the Enlightenment tradition. But then, Guy got a few hurty words.
Oh,
and then he will have got a call from his agent. And then he comes out with these things like...
You are out of time. You're going to have to explain yourself.
I don't have to go on.
Go on.
Lawrence, I mean, Guy Pearce, right? He was in The Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which was a film all about drag queens and, you know, getting dressed up and having fun. And he's not actually a gay man. They're saying that this is a cardinal sin and actually we should go back in time and tell Guy Pearce not to take the role, bigot or whatever else. This is all mad, isn't it? It's ruining a rich, ancient tradition, which was acting. You weren't actually a copper in Lewis, right?
I wasn't.
You weren't.
I'm not a copper.
You're not a copper.
But, you know, I sometimes genuinely, especially having heard Narinda and her racist rant the other day, I sometimes genuinely sit there and go, I was cancelled from show business for pointing out that Britain is not a racist country. And then I have this sort of mournful tug to go back to acting. And I think, God, if that's the best you've got. And I sort of ping open Netflix, I'm trying to find something to be in. I'm just like, there's nothing I want to be involved in. You're apologists. You're meant to stand up against culture. You're meant to hold the mirror up to nature. That's your job as an actor. And it's just embarrassing. I'm embarrassed by show business now.
I wonder, is there any sense, and Lawrence, you can answer this probably, is there any sense that perhaps the pendulum is starting to swing the other way? Are there actors and actresses coming out and saying, you know what, actually, this is a pile of rubbish, people should be able to play a part?
Well, they do. I mean, look, I got a lot of actor friends, show business. You know what it means. And the journalists do the same thing every time. They go, what do you think of Lawrence Fox? When they interview them. And, you know, however it is. And what they do is they do this very strange reverse ferret, is they go, cancel culture's dreadful, cancel culture's dreadful. And they go, what do you think of Lawrence Fox? He goes, not a man I recognise at all. He's a disgusting, despicable human being. And I'm like, grow a pair of cojones, you...
Yeah, but it's natural, it's natural instinct, though, isn't it?
I actually thought you got cancelled from the acting world for your grasp of Shakespeare. But there we go. One thing that staggers me is the ingratitude from a lot of these people, and nothing summarises this more than the Harry Potter cast. Daniel Radcliffe would be stacking shelves, and it would be Waitrose not Lidl because he's a posho. If it wasn't for J.K. Rowling, you've got Rupert Grint. I mean, he can't act to save his life.
He's better than Daniel.
Yeah, but that's a low bar, isn't it? And none of these people would have a career if it wasn't for her, and they turn their back on J.K. Rowling the second it gets a bit controversial.
I mean, Lawrence, though, do you think there's anything to be said for the fact that instead of Mary Whitehouse types going through the telly channels and saying, oh, well, there's too many gays on the box or whatever else, actually it's a case of now the gays are seeking out non-gays acting as them to say, well, you can't do that.
There are way too many gays on the box.
Yeah, well,
look at you lot.
Well, no,
if there's no representative of gays, we need to stick together.
I'm filling in for one tonight. Yeah.
This is the heterosexual lobby right here.
No, you're right. Look, the thing is, no one cares about identity.
I'm a token woman.
I don't care about identity in the same way as I'm not interested in who you want to have sex with. But why has the acting profession become so obsessed with it? Because it's the home of narcissistic nihilists, which is what the woke movement is. It's just narcissism on steroids, and that's what it is.
Well, let's bring Albie in on this, because you do see a lot of movies and theatre productions where traditionally white...
privileged
will be playing
are being played by ethnic minorities.
And I think this is probably the point that people are trying to address a historic injustice by trying to correct things nowadays. I personally think they might have gone too far, but I don't necessarily think the goal is wrong. Yes, of course, we should have an artistic sphere which is representative of all the people in the country. I just don't know that the right way of going about it is by saying to people that you can only play certain types.
What are the chances of Ryan Gosling playing Barack Obama as opposed to a black actress playing Anne Boleyn? Is it ever going to happen?
Probably quite small, but that doesn't mean, Lawrence...
Zero.
That doesn't mean that
it's a hatred of white-skinned people.
That doesn't mean that in the past...
racism against white-skinned people.
Lawrence,
and we all sit there and we just go, we go along with it.
It doesn't mean that in the past there weren't cases where there were white actors who were playing ethnic minority roles. And
Justin Trudeau,
That's why I... Yes, Justin Trudeau. And that's why I say there are some people who are seeking to try and balance this historical injustice. And they might be going about it wrong.
Why do we want to
rebalance
this stuff? It's like... I just want to turn on a TV screen and not notice what colour someone's skin is or whether they're gay. That's all I want. I want to go to a theatre and go, colourblind casting used to exist all across show business. Always did. And only now do we notice it. If you go back and watch Backdraft in 1996, brilliant film about fire. Last time they didn't use CGI, so it was actual real fire. You look at the demographics of this movie, there's a lot of representation of different ethnicities.
Now, when there is colourblind casting and you have a black person that's cast in a white role, lots of people get up in arms about it.
Because Anne Boleyn was white.
So I wish we could get back to a situation where it was colourblind casting and no one cares, but actually... people do care.
But do you think is there something to be said, though, that kids watching a historical, or what is perceived to be a historical reenactment, where actually Anne Boleyn is portrayed as a black woman when she wasn't a black woman?
But it's fiction, it's art, you know.
So would it be all right if Emily plays the role of Winnie Mandela?
Well, look, in an ideal world, no,
darling.
it shouldn't.
Wonderful.
But I just found it pretty irritating when people got really angry at Bridgerton. Like, it's a complete work of fiction.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Why not have black
I agree with a lot of what you're saying there, actually, can I just say? And I think, you know, if people have to... There's a difference, there is a key distinction between just works of fiction where, let's say, there probably wouldn't have been that many upper-class black people living in rural England in the 1800s or something like that. And so if it's a complete work of fiction and you're doing that, fine. Obviously, I can see, though, why people would get a bit irate when it is a genuine historical representation of something and they crowbar in different ethnicities in that, not because people don't like those ethnicities, just because it's factually inaccurate. And I think people might have a valid point there.
Yeah.
Well, I think they definitely do. It does sometimes seem a bit incongruous, but there does seem to be a difference between theatre productions, where anything goes, I think, and then actual, as you say, documentary-style, historical-style movies, which makes sense to most people.
Has it enriched drama? That's all I want to know. I want to go, is the product that I'm paying for and I'm watching better than it was 10 years ago? Why is something like The Terminal Risk?
Well, to Twitter's delight, I've had to cut off Florence Fox.